Alright, I said last time I was going to start doing more of these fireside chats. Whenever something's on my mind and I feel like I need to let it out, well, I'm letting it out. It's the 15th. Yesterday, by now, everybody should have heard about the school shootings in Florida. I was talking to my co-host Andrew about that yesterday on the way home from work. He was extremely upset, to put it mildly. I was extremely upset. My daughter's school age, my wife works at a school, so this kind of thing really hits close to home for me, because the first thing that goes through my mind is, what would happen if that happened at my kid's school where my wife works? And even that not being the situation, you have to be a little bit upset, whether that's sad or angry or whatever your emotion is, but it has to be upsetting to you that somebody thought this was an acceptable course of action to take a rifle into a school and shoot as many people as he could. There's no justification for it, and I don't think anybody's arguing that point. But what's frustrating to me is, in the last 24 hours, the gun control debate has exploded yet again. And I find it characteristically frustrating that anti-gun politicians and anti-gun people stand on the graves of children to try to promote your agenda, because let's be honest, it's not as if this is the first time we've heard from all y'all. It's not as if prior to yesterday's incident you were a red-blooded, blue-card-wielding NRA member and you were 100% in favor of the Second Amendment. All of a sudden this changed stripes. You had this opinion beforehand, and this is just your whipping post to try to make your point on the backs of dead children, and you should be freaking ashamed for that. You should be ashamed, and the parents and the people of this country should hold you accountable for trying to make your point on the backs of children. Shame on you. That's one. Two is, as I've said before, if I thought for a second that banning guns would actually stop this sort of thing from happening, if it would end violent crime, I'd actually consider doing it. And this is from a person who is one of the biggest Second Amendment supporters you'll ever meet. I mean, my points of view on the Second Amendment even push back some other gun owners, because it's too radical, it's too far in that direction, it's too much freedom. Scary thing, I guess. But I would consider it, but I'm not, because it doesn't work. Magazine capacity doesn't matter. Banning ARs doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not going to fix this problem. It's not going to solve anything. It's not going to change the outcome. It's not going to accomplish what y'all are claiming you want to accomplish, unless you just want to piss off gun owners and ban guns. It'll accomplish that, but it's not going to fix violent. It's not going to fix violence perpetrated on people by other people. That's been going on since the first person figured out if you pick up a rock and slam it in somebody else's head, they die. So, since Genesis, basically. Get so aggravated my cigar goes out, and that typical. But a couple other points of order. I was asked today what I thought would fix this problem other than allowing teachers to conceal carry in schools, which is my immediate answer all the time. I think everyone should be allowed to carry a firearm, because that's what the Second Amendment says. And, call me crazy, but the fact that most of these shootings happen in gun-free zones is not a coincidence. People are going to these places where you're not supposed to have guns because they're not going to get a lot of resistance. They're cowards. If they weren't cowards, they wouldn't behave like this. They go to places where they don't expect to have to deal with the consequences of their actions, like getting shot because you're trying to shoot people. How many times has a police precinct been targeted in a mass shooting? It's filled with people with guns. Do you think that's coincidence? Is your cognitive dissonance so strong that you can't draw that conclusion? Where people are allowed to carry, there is less violent crime. And where people are precluded from carrying legally, not realistically, just legally, because, it's just a sticker on the door. It doesn't really stop anybody. It just stops me because I'm a law-abiding citizen from doing that. It stops me from carrying a firearm where I'd be able to protect my child and these other children, but it didn't stop this little a-hole from shooting up the school. Think about that for a second. What is your gun-free zone accomplishing other than making targets? Now, as far as what could solve this problem, what could fix this problem, I got something for you. It's no secret, the more we dig into this kid's past, and I'm not going to name him because I'm not going to make him famous. I don't think anybody should make him famous. I think he should be forgotten, and the focus should be on the tragedy and the victims and how we move forward. The way to move forward is when you have an individual who is most obviously imbalanced, and no one can look in this kid's past and tell me he wasn't. There is no case to be made for the fact that he was an altar boy and he went to church on Sunday every day and he loved his mama and he just snapped one day. That's bull. Anybody that was familiar with this kid prior to this incident shouldn't have known something was coming. But everybody ignored it. Everyone ignored it. His family ignored it. The people who I understand he was adopted, his adopted parents, ignored it. The people at school ignored it when it was reported by other students. Y'all ignored this. Y'all kept shrugging your shoulders saying, not my circus, not my monkeys, not my problem, until it became your problem. Everybody could have seen what was going on here. Everyone could see an angry young man who had been pushed off to the side and who was going to explode. And he did. No surprise. So you want to know the way to fix mass shootings, you want to know the way to fix gun violence, you stop focusing on the damn gun and you focus on the violence. You ask yourself, why are these young people so angry and why are they so disillusioned with their fellow man that they have no moral quandaries about taking another person's life in anything less than defense of their own? Why are these people so desensitized to violence that this is acceptable? And how do we go down that rabbit hole to maybe one day figure out how we bring these young people back? How do we bring these young people back into the fold? We give them a support system where we say, look, I understand you're angry. This is not the way to deal with this problem. You need to talk to people. You need to vent. You need to let it out. I'm not going to get too far back into my past, but when I came back from Iraq, I sat down with a counselor for a couple of months because I had survivor guilt. I was upset about a lot of things that had happened over there. I was upset about getting mortars shot at me, for a year straight. It left me with some unresolved emotional baggage that I needed help dealing with. So I went and sat down with a counselor. At no point did me or my counselor think I was a danger to anybody else, because I wasn't. I sought help. I had the support network behind me to allow me to unpack my emotions in a safe place and learn to deal with them and learn to say, I'm upset, but I was upset, not angry. I learned to differentiate between the two, and I learned that when something upsets me, it doesn't have to immediately cause me to go to anger. I can just say, I'm upset. That was not okay with me. And I feel like had this young man been given those same tools, he may not have done what he did. But now that he has, he needs to be held accountable for them. What I'm suggesting is that the way to fix gun violence in this country is to begin to reinforce for young people the value of life, to show them there is another way. And that way is not to take a handgun or a rifle or a bomb or whatever else and just go out and kill as many people as you can. That's not the right way to deal with your problems. That's not the right way to deal with your emotions. It's time for all of us to take a little bit of responsibility for our fellow man, look left and look right and say, hey, who's having a hard time? Who needs a smile? Who needs a hug? Who needs a pat on the back? Who needs some encouragement? We need to stop ignoring each other. We need to stop belittling each other and bullying each other. And we need to just say, you know what? You're having a problem. Let me try to help. And if you meet that person that can't be helped, then you can't help them. If you meet that person that can't be reasoned with, you can't reason with them. But we can try. We can start having some honest conversations with each other. And we can stop focusing on the damn guns. Because, little tidbit of information. You've been able to buy an AR-15 in this country since 1963. And we didn't have that many mass shootings back then. We didn't have this many school shootings back then. The gun's not the problem. The violence is. So let's start asking ourselves why these young people are so violent and why are they so angry, and let's try to fix the problem. That's another fireside chat. I don't know if y'all get anything out of it, but leave me a comment. Let me know if I'm just completely off the beaten path or maybe I just have a point.